10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 178. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 178 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. My name is Nick Manella. I'm the creator and host of the show, and I'll be guiding you through hopefully about the next 10 minutes of jazz instruction. And if you're brand new to the show, just want to let you know that you can get the PDF to this episode, which I highly recommend, and every other episode that we've ever done by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, clicking on one of the Patreon banners, going over and pledging your $3 a month to help the podcast stay in business, keep these episodes coming at you fresh each and every week, and you also get a massive library of jazz materials to help you become a better jazz musician, help you along the path to being the best improviser and complete musician you can be. And we've got one shout out this week, somebody brand new to the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson family. Thank you to Dan for signing up to become our newest patron. We really appreciate it. And of course, thank you to the over 250 people who are already signed up and show their support each and every month. We definitely could not do this without you. So remember, 10minutejazzlesson.com. Click on one of the Patreon banners. Get your hands on years and years and years worth of lessons to help you become a better musician. All right, so today we're going to jump back into our voice leading episodes that we kind of left alone for a little while when we did our Lick of the Month and our Tune of the Month episodes, as we do every month here. But I wanted to come back to this because we were just starting to get into the good stuff, in my opinion. So in part one of our voice leading exercises, we did these really, really simple whole note exercises through a 2-5-1. And we explained the voice leading. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you go and check out part 1 and 2 before you check out this episode. That'll really help you understand how we've arrived where we currently are. And then in episode 2, we turn those whole note guide tone lines into half note guide tone lines. So this week is about turning them into quarter notes and therefore making it a little bit more difficult to sing this stuff, which is really the whole point. And then I think you are going to realize what the final episode of our voice leading exercises is going to be all about. We're going to start to incorporate some eighth notes, and then we're going to be singing real lines that we would kind of play on the bandstand. So it's a progression. It's a progression through. But the cool thing is that we're always coming back to those episode 1 lines as our template to create the more complicated lines. And remember, if you haven't tuned into those episodes, you should definitely go back and do that. But remember, we're singing this stuff. We're not playing it. It's totally okay to play this on your instrument at some point. But remember, we're really trying to sit down and sing this stuff while we're playing roots on the piano in our left hand, or we're playing, basic voicings in our left hand on the piano. These are meant to be singing exercises that you play sitting at a piano instead of just playing this stuff on your horn. Now, you can use these episodes as sort of a sing-along because I'm going to be playing all the lines, but I also want you to do it on your own, and that will also force you to get some of those piano skills required for being a good jazz musician. So today's going to be all about the content. I'm not going to explain much about these lines except for the last two. We're just going to go right through them and start doing them as exercises. That's going to be the important part about this week. So let's take a look at line number 1. Now you'll notice that line number 1 matches up with line number 1 on both 175 and 174 PDFs. So just know that this line is a progression through those 2 episodes and into this episode. So we started on the 3rd of the 2 chord. We went to the 5 of the 5 chord, and then our goal was to resolve to the 3rd of the 1 chord. Now what we're doing is we're filling in a lot of information on these 2 chords to get from point A to point B. And this is the challenge when you're singing this stuff, is to now faithfully recreate this line with your voice. And you'll hear it's become a lot more melodic than just hanging on to 3 notes. All right? So take a look at exercise number 1 in your PDF. I'm going to play it for you first. Then I'm going to play the chords, and I'm going to have you sing it. Okay, so here's what line number 1 sounds like. Here's the example. 3, 4. Listen to that one more time. 3, 4. Okay, now you should have that in your head pretty good, and you should be looking at the example on the PDF. Now I'm going to play your starting pitch for you. You're going to sing this line, and you're going to listen to the chords underneath it to give you a little bit of guidance through this. So here's your starting pitch. And your turn to sing. 3, 4. And why don't you try that one more time? Here's your starting pitch. 3, 4. All right, so hopefully you're starting to get that. If you're not, remember, just sit down at the piano and practice it. And eventually you'll be getting it. You'll notice that most of the stuff follows pretty much stepwise motion, except for that one interval at the beginning of the second measure is a fifth. And you should be able to hear that fairly quickly and hopefully recreate it with your voice. So here's number 2. Again, this lines up with number 2 on the other parts of this series. And what we were doing is we were starting on the 7th of the 2 chord, then we were going to the 3rd of the 5 chord, and then we were resolving to that same note, which is the major 7 of the 1 chord. So again, we've strung it out into quarter notes, and here's what the line sounds like. 3, 4. Check that out one more time. 3, 4. Okay, now it's your turn to sing. Here's your starting pitch. 3, 4. And sing it one more time. Here's your starting pitch. 3, 4. Okay, good. Let's move on to line number 3. Now these two are resolving to a minor 7th chord, so they will sound a little bit different, and a great way to get into a 2-5-1 to a minor key. So this one's kind of similar to the one that we just came from, but here's the thing that we're doing on this one that's going to challenge you. We actually have a chromatic note, a note that's not in the key, and that note is beat 4 over the first measure. We're doing like a neighbor tone, all right? We're doing a chromatic lower neighbor tone to the note that we're playing. So this one is based off of, we have a 7th over the 2 chord, we have a 5 over the 5 chord, and then we resolve this to the flat 7 over the minor 1 chord. And you're going to hear that non-harmonic tone, that tone that's outside of the key at the end of the first measure. So check out what it sounds like first. Okay, and here we go. 3, 4. more time. 3, 4. Now, hopefully you can hear that chromatic note, that chromatic neighbor tone there on the bottom. And you'll also notice that this one jumps around quite a bit. All right, so now it's your turn to sing it. Here we go. Here's your starting pitch. 3, 4. One more time, starting pitch. 3, 4. All right, let's move on to our final line for this week. So what we did on this one is I did add another chromatic tone. This one is a chromatic passing tone in the second measure, where we're going from the 5th of the 5 chord to the 6th of the 5 chord. And that's leading us perfectly into the 7th of the 5 chord, which is then going to resolve us to the 3rd of the 1 chord. That was a mouthful, but that's exactly what's happening there. So the basis of this line is the 3rd over the 2 chord to the 5 over the 5 chord, and then to the 3 over the 1 chord. And this one doesn't jump around all that much. So even though there is a chromatic note in this, it actually shouldn't be that hard for you to sing this one. This one might even be a little bit easier than the last one. So here's example number 4 on your PDF. 3, 4. One more time. 3, 4. All right, now it's your turn to sing it. Here's your starting pitch. 3, 4. And then sing it one more time, starting pitch. 3, 4. Okay, so hopefully you're starting to get that at least a little bit. If you're not, sit down at that piano and work on this stuff until you can really, really sing what's going on. That's going to be super important for you. All right, I'm not going to take up any more time. We've already gone way over our 10 minutes, and I think that this stuff is pretty self-explanatory at this point. But just to drive this point home, this is some of the most important stuff you can work on. And I'm not lying about that. That is absolutely true. If you can start to reproduce these lines with your voice, you are going to see tremendous benefit when you sit down with the instrument. Your lines are going to start getting connected without you even knowing it. And it's just going to provide for a lot more seamless experience once you start training your ears and training your voice a little bit. Makes a massive, massive difference in what's going on with your playing. Okay, so shoot me any questions you might have. We're going to do one more part to this, and the next one's going to be a doozy because the lines are actually going to be pretty darn difficult, but still following our voice leading examples from episode number 1, where we were just doing all whole notes. So remember, if you have any questions for me, definitely get at me on the Facebook 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Community Facebook group. I am on there constantly answering questions and checking out the activity over there. So make sure you request to become a member, and I will approve you. We'll get you in there where you can have discussions. Also, remember to grab the PDF, 10minutejazzlesson.com. Click on one of the Patreon links and get yourself signed up today. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week with some brand new episodes. Have a great weekend. Bye.